Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, we ask you for your beneficial knowledge, wholesome provision and deeds that are accepted. Ya Allah, make it easy for us and do not make it difficult and complete it with goodness. Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Now, thank you, everyone. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in today's, you see, for the past few days, we have been talking a lot about VUCA world. It's all things that connect us to, you see, volatility, uncertain, complexity, and also ambiguous. And today, interestingly, halal is not just about compliance, but also about trust, yeah, about integrity, resilience, and also inclusive, perhaps prosperity. Now, our session focuses on three key areas. First, it will be on zakat, waqf, and halal value chain. And secondly, perhaps on small, medium enterprises that connect women and youth, and also institutional delivery mechanism so that our efforts will be translated into coordinated impact and scalable outcomes. Now, we are also honored today to have a group of undergraduate students from University Malaysia, Kelantan, joining us today to learn directly from global experts and also perhaps strengthening their understanding of halal as a platform for social innovation and also community empowerment. So we welcome you, all of you, and please take notes, reflect and engage actively during the question and answer session. Now, you see, today's discussion sits the heart of our conference team, navigating a virtual world, and a world shaped by all these elements where trust, can be fragile, system can be disrupted overnight, and even communities, they are often the first to feel the impact. So in such a world, you see, the halal ecosystem is not only a market label, right? It is a stabilizing ethical infrastructure. So it offers a shared language of integrity, governance, human dignity, and also accountability. So all these value anchors in the Al-Quran and the Sunnah. So our purpose today is simple but powerful because we want to align stakeholders and delivery mechanism for a coordinated impact so that halal strengthen not only compliance, but community resilience, poverty reduction, and also inclusive empowerment. So you see, Islam teaches us a lot that ethical economic life is part of worship and responsibility. And the Quran repeatedly connects us what is halal and what is tayyib, the wholesome that is ethical and beneficial. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us also justice and excellence. So indeed, you see, all these bring us to a principle that should guide how we design our institutions, supply chain, and also social delivery models. So we are asking today, how do halal value chains uplift the SMEs, women, and youth? How do we integrate zakat, waqf, and halal systems to empower so that it becomes scalable and not an ad hoc one? And also, what institutional models can ensure integrity, transparency, and measurable community outcomes? And perhaps, you see, I would like to go ahead on the first speaker. That would be Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin Hanani, who will be tackling halal-driven approaches to social justice and poverty reduction. And perhaps she will take us beyond the narrow view of the halal, not only as a dietary compliance, but also into a broader ethical framework. So we are expecting a lot of key takeaway to frame her talk later, and perhaps let us welcome her. Over to you, our first speaker. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmadu wa nasta'inu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu wa lan tajida lahu waliyyan mursyida amma ba'd. First and foremost, thank you very much to the organizer. I do have my presentation, but I have some problem to share my PowerPoint. Could any from the committee to share the PowerPoint or slide with all the audience today? I would like to express also my sincere appreciation, okay, to the organizer, and also special thanks to the respected chairperson, Professor Hajah Raja Suzana, and also our two other speaker, Prof Baharom, and also Mrs. Vildana Džafić. And inshallah, we will be listening to their insightful presentation. So during this blessed month of Ramadan, inshallah, okay, it is actually a time to remind us, actually, it is not only a spiritual purification, but also of compassion, justice, and also social responsibility. It is actually particularly meaningful for us to reflect on how the halal economy can contribute to broader societal well-being. So my presentation today is actually entitled Halal-Driven Approach to Social Justice and also Poverty Reduction. And this study begins actually with a simple question, but yet important: can the halal ecosystem play a role beyond certification and also dietary compliance, as mentioned by Mrs. Chairperson just now, in addressing social injustice and also poverty? While, as we know, halal is often associated primarily with product permissibility, the halalness of the product, the halalness of the services, this research argue that the halal Thayyiban framework carries deeper ethical implication, including distribution of justice, protection of human dignity, and also sustainable economic practices. And also through a qualitative analysis of Islamic social finance instrument, particularly Zakat, Waqf, and Sadaqah, okay, this study explore how integrating these principles within the halal industry ecosystem can foster a more inclusive and equitable economic system, inshallah. And the findings suggest the halal-driven initiative can serve not only to ensure pure consumption, but also to empower micro-entrepreneurs, enhance social mobility, and reduce income disparity among marginalized community. As for our presentation today, I also would like to share with you some example from our beloved country, Malaysia, in certain states, such as in Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, and Sabah. And also, as we know, a key paradigm shift, okay, in discussions of the halal economy is the movement beyond viewing halal merely as dietary ingredient toward the broader framework of halal Thayyiban. Traditionally, as we know, when Allah mentioned, "O mankind, eat whatever is on earth that is lawful and good, halalan tayyiba." So this verse indicates that Islamic consumption and production must go beyond mere permissibility. So it must include ethical, social, and also environmental responsibility. In contemporary terms, halal may be understood as the minimum compliance standard. Meanwhile, tayyiban represent ethical excellence. A product or service may technically be halal in its ingredient, yet if it is produced through exploitative labor, environmental destruction, or unfair economic practices, it fails the tayyiban aspect. So actually, when we study, we know that studies indicate around 40 or 50% of the world poorest people live in Muslim majority country. It is actually a very sad fact. And approximately upon 1 in 5 Muslims live in extreme poverty. This reality underscore why the halal economy must move beyond narrow certification frameworks and become a tool for socio-economic transformation. Within the Halal Thayyiban framework, 3 ethical pillars that I will share with you today are particularly relevant for addressing social justice and poverty. First is distributive justice. Islam emphasized that wealth should circulate fairly within social rather than accumulating only among elites. And also second is the protection of human dignity, as Allah mentioned in Al-Quran, Surah 17, Ayah 70, where it implies that economic system must reject exploitative labor condition and ensure fair wages and human working environment. And the third is environmental stewardship. As we know, a practical illustration of this issue can be observed. For example, as we know, the debate issue about global cocoa and coffee industry. While we know that these products are halal in their ingredients, many supply chains involve child labor, severe underpayment of farmer, and exploitative trade structure. Some halal-oriented companies and ethical SME in Southeast Asia have responded by implementing traceable source-to-table supply chain and fair trade practices. This actually a Toyiban element, and it is a Toyiban-based model will ensure transparency and better profit distribution, inshallah. And studies also indicate that such ethical sourcing mechanism can increase farmers' income by 20 to 30%, significantly improving livelihood in producing communities. And also scholars article have also increasingly emphasized the importance of this broader ethical perspective, such as Al-Haran. He argues that the Toyiban dimension is essential for realizing maqasid Shariah, and also when halal is understood through the lens of halal Toyibah, it will evolve from a narrow certification mechanism into a holistic ethical economic system. And when we talk about how halal business can contribute to poverty reduction in Malaysia through multiple economic and social channels, such as where it expanding employment, supporting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, and also integrating rural producer into value chains. I witnessed in certain states, like in Sabah, for example, the religious council, they help the micro entrepreneur to build their halal Toyiban business with trainings and also certificate initiative. And also, first and foremost, the halal industry, we know, generous employment opportunities across a wide range of sectors. As we know, there are many sector, food manufacturing, logistics, pharmaceuticals, and we know in Malaysia as well, Malaysia have developed many standards ranging from various halal scheme. And the development of halal industrial park, for example, in many states and also country has attracted both domestic and also foreign investment. As we know, according to Malaysia's Halal Industry Master Plan 2020, the halal sector is expected to contribute significantly to national GDP. And also, the halal economy provide market access for SME, many of which operate in rural and semi-urban areas through government initiative led by agencies such as the Malaysian Halal Development Corporation, Small Business Receive Support, and also Zakat institution, religious council, and also NGOs. And we know that halal supply chain integrate farmers and rural products into higher value markets. For example, halal food manufacturer often source raw materials such as poultry, livestock, palm oil, and agricultural products from local farmers. When these products become part of halal certified supply chain, they gain more stable demand. They gain more stable demand and better pricing for their products. The halal economic also promotes ethical and inclusive economic practices aligned with the Islamic principle of fairness and justice that will encourage business to ensure fair wages, ethical sourcing by emphasizing equitable distribution of benefit across the supply chain. And the Malaysia broader halal ecosystem, supported by policy framework such as the Halal Industry Master Plan and national development strategies, encourage the innovation, entrepreneurship, and international trade. We know that halal business reduce not only poverty, not only in Malaysia, but in any other country as well, by creating jobs, empowering SMEs, strengthening rural supply chains, promoting ethical economic practices, and expanding, inshallah, access to global markets. There are many asnaf in certain states, like in Selangor and also Kuala Lumpur, they already expand their halal business. For example, they already export their product to Middle Eastern countries such as in Saudi Arabia. This is actually the effort that has been done by certain institutions such as a Zakat and also Waqf institution in Malaysia. This is actually all the strategic collaboration with the Zakat and also Waqf institution that create a more inclusive and sustainable economic ecosystem in Malaysia. Zakat institutions such as Lembaga Zakat Selangor, Majlis Agama Islam Wilayah Persekutuan, to name a few states, actually have increasingly adopted productive zakat program where funds are not only distributed for immediate consumption but also to finance small halal businesses and halal training. Waqf institution as well, they play important role in supporting the halal economy by providing long-term productive asset. For instance, Waqf land or buildings can be developed into halal food hubs, agricultural farms, business incubation centers for small entrepreneurs, such as Perbadanan Waqf Selangor, Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah, for example. And this integration between halal industry and also Zakat and Waqf institution creates a holistic Islamic economic system. In Malaysia, the Zakat institution, they provide inclusive training for halal food preparation, small-scale manufacturing, catering, and also retail business. And most importantly, all these participants will be taught the knowledge of food handling, halal compliance, hygiene standards, packaging, and also marketing. And this program often involve collaboration with Department of Islamic Development Malaysia, JAKIM, and States Religious Council. Many Zakat program also provide vocational and technical training and also business incubation and mentorship. After training, Zakat institution often provide business incubation support. And this is in addition to training, Zakat institution provide also capital grants, equipment or business premises to help asnaf to start their halal enterprises. And some programs also utilize Waqf asset such as agricultural land, machinery, for example, that can serve for halal food hubs and also for training centers, then thus lowering operational costs and providing shared infrastructure for small businesses. And for the overall impact, through this combination of training, certification support, financial assistance, and mentorship, Zakat institution and also Waqf institution help transform asnaf from aid recipient into halal entrepreneurs and income earners, and finally zakat payer, inshallah. This model also promotes economic inclusion, self-reliance, and also sustainable poverty reduction, aligning with the objective of maqasid. And as we know, the importance of halal initiative and poverty that can play important role reducing income gaps and supporting the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, SDG number 1, which is poverty, by promoting inclusive economic participation, ethical production, and equitable wealth distribution. And how this halal initiative can create inclusive economic opportunities and also integrate economic social finance instruments such as Zakat, Waqf, and also do not forget Qardul Hasan from this institution. And as we know, overall by combining all these ethical governance, financial inclusion, fair trade practices, and sustainable development practices, halal initiative can contribute significantly to reduce income inequality and advancing SDG number 1, which is no poverty. And as we know, it is also by the halal ecosystem and also halal-driven supply chain encourage the Tayyiban principle that also to promote responsible sourcing and also to ensure the farmer, laborer, asnaf, small supplier receive fair treatment and also fair compensation, inshallah. And to conclude, the halal ecosystem, we know that has the potential to contribute meaningfully to the poverty reduction and social justice when it moves beyond a narrow focus on certification and compliance by integrating the ethical principle of halal tayyiban and use Islamic social finance instrument, the halal economy can create more inclusive and equitable economic system. As Allah remind us in Al-Quran, Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsya'i wal munkar. Indeed, Allah command us to do justice, excellence, and giving to those in need. This verse actually remind us that economic and development in Islam must always be guided by justice, compassion, and social responsibility. The halal economy, therefore, should serve not only markets, but also humanity, insyaAllah. With that, I end my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Yasmin, you're not able to view your slide just now. We project it.
I cannot share, but I can view my slide, but I cannot share. All right.
All right. So I think that's kind of like very enlightening presentation, yeah, on how halal, what do you call it, business contribute to the poverty reduction in Malaysia. And perhaps you see this session can tell us that the halal industry is not merely a regulatory framework, right? But is a comprehensive socio-economic ecosystem that promotes employment, creation, what else? Entrepreneurship, you mentioned entrepreneurship just now, and also inclusive economic development. Now, on behalf of the session, perhaps I would like to extend my sincere, appreciation to the speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin Hanani. Please stay with us because we're going to have another round of panel discussion after the session. Yeah. So perhaps now we can move on to our next speaker. Yeah, that would be our friend. Yeah, we fly her so far from Herzegovina, Bosnia Herzegovina. Correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Vildana Džafić.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamu
Greetings from Bosnia and Herzegovina in the heart of Europe.
Okay, yeah.
I
It's
would
a
like to,
country.
yes, a very beautiful country, as you will see in my presentation, some of the photos
Yeah.
of the Bosnia and Herzegovina.
MashaAllah. All right,
Yes.
so maybe before you begin, let me just have a very quick one. You shall be sharing with us and bring an important international lens, yeah, how halal ecosystems function as network of institutions. And then maybe we shall be also tackling standard, market, and stakeholder that protect integrity across, I must say, production, what else, distribution and consumption. And perhaps we can start sharing the session, Ms. Vildana. Would you like to share your own slide?
Yes, thank you very much. Just give me a minute to share my presentation.
Yeah.
One moment. Can you see my presentation? Is my voice clear enough?
Very well. You are audible. Good.
Thank you very much. Once again, I would like to take opportunity to express my appreciations to organizations and the people who support this important conference, and also to my colleagues today that we are presenting this important subject. My presentation will be mostly on the examples of Bosnia and Herzegovina and how Bosnian women actually navigate through this very VUCA world. So I will start. So my presentation is empowerment through halal ecosystems. Me as myself, I'm the lead auditor in Agency for Halal Quality Certification, also head of finance. And also, among other things, as a woman, take participation in every type of the daily business in agency, but also I am the person who actually went through the similar entrepreneurship by my own company and startups in Bosnia after the war. So in the world where we are living right now, as you can see, among the situation happening right now with Muslim countries, we actually live in the VUCA world today, in the violent uncertainty and complexity, and also a lot of the, should I say, black swan happening. But black swans were something that happened rarely, but in this violent world, it happens often that much. So the halal ecosystem we use represent a network of all institutions, standard markets, and stakeholders that ensure halal integrity across the production, distribution, and consumption. Why integrity matters? In this violent world, it is very important to have ethical production systems that support transparent governance. Also, every person, every stakeholders that is included in the supply chain have to show responsibility toward the production and also toward the governance. But at least most important also is to protect the consumers. As a part of the certification body that provide halal certificate, it is very important for our Muslim consumers to have halal food and halal products and services, but also all through this our service to support empowering the producers, mainly the vulnerable groups and youth. So halal principles inherit and promote ethical economical behavior among all of us. So from the table to the, from the landfill to the table, including all the stakeholders. But what I mainly want to talk about in halal is actually human capital, because everything else during this violent and volatile environment can be lost, actually. But if the human capital is strengthened enough through different types of the support, like entrepreneurship, knowledge transfer, institutional capacity, and employment opportunity, you can have and rebuild again from the start if you have right people to start with renewal of anything that's been destroyed. So in my presentation, I want to make emphasis on the economic and social empowerment through the halal markets that support inclusive economic development and provide opportunity for vulnerable groups, including women and small rural producers. Because maybe some of you know, but our beautiful country, as you can see in this slide, that represents some of the main beautiful sites from Bosnia and Herzegovina, actually went through the war in 1995. So the land was pretty much destroyed. We lost a lot of the population, mainly men. So during this and after the war, there was a big responsibility on the Bosnian women to start and rebuilding the economy. So I would like to use this opportunity to tell you the story of brave women of Bosnia and Herzegovina that actually took participation in the economy through halal ecosystem. Mainly, our social economic reality was that traditionally, as in the main, maybe in the most of the Islamic country, was that the men were the primary income earners, while women were mostly engaged in household activities. Here on the slide, you can see a lot of the Bosnian delicacy. So this is the products of very hard work of our Bosnian women. After the war, we lost a lot of men. So a lot of the women actually were left alone with small children, with no support from the anybody. So they actually started to become key economic actors responsible for ensuring family survival and income generation of their households. So not just to sit and put our hands in our laps, we actually took action and start with small businesses, start with small different types of the production. Mainly, we were engaged in various forms in agriculture, because Bosnia and Herzegovina is very fruitful land. So we have everything God gave us, every natural resource that we can use, but also gave us enough smart to use those resources. So we worked in agriculture, in livestock farming, beekeeping, fishing, and handicrafts. All these activities were a foundation for the local community. So as you can see on the tractor here is one of my friends actually that has some of the farms in Bosnia. What categories of women producer can be is actually primary agricultural producers selling products at markets from their own homes. They started from that at small, but later on, as the number of the women rises, they were actually engaging together to register small farms and also to register some of the small and medium enterprises operating as a formal business entities. And also after this as economical, they also start cooperatives and NGOs that support products and market across the Bosnia. So we have some of the NGOs actually that engage and gather women from different type of this production. Here on the photo, you can see one of the logos of one of our NGOs, actually BOSFAM, that actually means Bosnian family, short from Bosnian family. And they produced very nice, beautiful carpets with Bosnian, with the Bosnian motifs. So what actually happened during and after the war, these initiatives contributed to strengthen the household income, empowering women economically, revitalizing rural economies, communities, and preserving traditional production. It is very important for us that I had opportunity to see many women, especially in the eastern region of Bosnia, where women after the genocide in Srebrenica were left alone. So through the connection between halal certification and also support from the Islamic community through the Zakat and Waqf, they actually managed to open their own businesses. First at the beginning that were very small, just from their houses, but later on we worked on the development of connections between the small enterprises and also larger companies that produced some of the halal products. So like one of my friends in Srebrenica actually started with the production of the chickens within their own home. Later on, inshallah and mashallah, they grow. So now they have daily production of the chicken that has by turnus almost 30,000 chickens. So they are now big producers of the halal chicken in the Srebrenica region. Then we made connections through companies that are halal certified. bigger one actually in other parts in Bosnia, and also they are exporting for neighboring countries. So they managed to become actually the big stakeholder in the halal production. Also, handicrafts, as you can see, some of them are now in the World Heritage, so under the UNESCO protections. So the women actually managed from a very hard, difficult situation after the war, after the loss of the husbands, brothers, and fathers, managed to become key stakeholders in producing and generating incomes in Bosnian households. So what we actually, based on our experience, integration into halal markets can provide product certification and quality insurance as a base, so we can start growing stronger market position for the vulnerable groups, not just vulnerable groups, but for everybody who will engage in economical growth and also in the halal ecosystem. Also, access to international halal consumers. It is easier for women, for young, for the small SMEs to access the international market if we have good connections. So connections starts from our people. Actually, we have a lot of displaced persons. We have large diaspora all over the world. And also our Bosnian people are very famous for making good connections, friendships with all the nations. So we started to access the international halal consumers through the accreditation of our certification body. And then later on, we supported sustainable rural development. What we learned through governance and development, the case on the Bosnian women demonstrates that resilience of the communities is very important. Even being through all these hardship, they managed to start the business, they managed to keep their families, they managed to keep ethically good families. So it is very important to empower human capital, not just the women and vulnerable groups, but also the human capital can increase all other issues that come to their lap. Also, the transformative role of the woman in economic recovery. So, woman power. We use it here in Bosnia a lot. So we can use our natural resources that actually been partially destroyed in Bosnia. So we use it in the correct way, so we don't overuse it and later on do not have this blessing that God gave us. So we are also encouraging to invest in the economical and environment issues also. So what is important, maybe after these 6 to 7 days of this conference that are my previous colleagues in previous days and also Dr. Yasmin told us, is actually that we need to develop halal infrastructure so we can contribute through the halal ecosystem to sustainable development, social stability, and also strengthening human capital. So, as a conclusion for my presentation today, empowering people is the most powerful force in uncertain times. And the halal ecosystem therefore represents not just a market framework, but also a platform for the development and social resistance and inclusive economical growth. So this is for me for today. These are my contacts, and thank you very much for listening. So I am available for the questions later on the panel discussions. Thank you. Back to you, Raya.
Thank you very much, mashallah. So a lot of things that we can learn from Bosnia Herzegovina, right? Because I think
Yes.
your last slide was actually captivating me in terms of how, halal infrastructure can contribute to sustainable development. Yeah, not alone about those, but social stability and also maybe strengthening the human capital, right? So maybe
Yes,
the idea is to come up, because we will be proposing a lot of infrastructure development for this mechanism. Maybe we can plan to start building the trust system, isn't it?
yes,
And your good model in developing the halal ready human capital, yeah, that is actually where ethics and skills need to be grown. And maybe later on the panel discussion session, a lot more we can ask, yeah, about all this perspective. Thank you very
thank you
much.
very much. I
Yeah,
will happy to answer the questions. Thank you.
yeah, mashallah. Thank you, Miss Vildana Zafiq. All right, let us move on, yeah, to our third speaker. We would like to welcome Professor Dr. Baharom from INCEIF University, and perhaps he will focus on why many countries are now prioritizing integration, about how we connect Zakat and Waqf with halal value chain, so that empowerment, you see, can become more systematic, more institutionalized, and also scalable. So with the topic integrating Waqf, Zakat, and halal system for social impact, Professor Dr. Baharom, we would like to welcome you to the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Madam Yang Mulia Prof Raja. Ramadan Kareem to all the participants. Alhamdulillah, we have a very healthy participant level today. So inshallah, we will try to share some knowledge here. Might be slightly different looking at it. Whenever we talk about halal, I've been, alhamdulillah, been privileged to be involved in quite a number of forums, conferences internationally in Turkey as well as over here. Most of the time when we talk about halal, people are so centered around the technicalities. People are so centered about, are the chicken slaughtered? If it's slaughtered, do you follow the technicalities and so on? But I think it's about high time for us to look at it as an ecosystem. We look at it as the whole spectrum. And we look at it from the A right to the Z. When we say A to Z, same like what my good colleagues have presented earlier, Associate Professor Yasmin as well as Madam Vildana just now. It's about the whole ecosystem, right from the financing, you talk about the social protection, the takaful, and so on. You pay the right salary, you pay the adequate salary, you pay the salary on time, you do not have any gender bias, you do not endanger the environment, and so on. Alhamdulillah, slowly it has been developed, and I think people are moving towards utilizing or employing halal financing more as before, compared to before, whereby people are so concerned about the halal technicalities, they do not feel embarrassed or they do not feel any shortcoming if they use riba-based financing, for example. Right? So Alhamdulillah, it has been moving on the Islamic finance or Islamic banking per se. But there are many more opportunities for us to explore, and I would like to open up another avenue today, how we can integrate Islamic social finance, especially we talk about Zakat and Waqf into the halal system. And when we say that, at the moment it's more on a siloed, halal works on its own, Zakat works on its own, Waqf works on its own, and how the integration of all these pillars can actually create a multiplier effect to maximize the social impact. At the end of the day, we want to empower. We want to empower the halal. We want to empower the Muslims. We want to empower the Muslim countries and so on, right? Okay. So if you look into it, let us see for the convergence of all this. I will talk more centered around Malaysia because I'm more involved in Malaysia, but I will also bring some case study from Turkey and in Indonesia. Looking in a nutshell, when you talk about zakat and waqf, there's slight difference. Zakat is more for immediate alleviation. It's for immediate alleviation, emergency cases where it fulfills the urgent societal needs. And definitely it will reduce poverty and it will reduce income inequality and it will redistribute the wealth from those who have surplus to those who are in needs. And most of the time, zakat will focus on the basic needs, the shelter, and we're talking about healthcare and so on. On the other hand, when you talk about waqf, it is about perpetual endowment. This creates a sustainable impact and community development. Waqf, while in traditionally, when you talk about those days, when people say waqf, the straight thing that comes into their mind is school. The straight things that comes into their mind is graveyard or mausoleum. But now people are more open-minded. People knows that the potential of waqf is great, much greater than that, right? And when you talk about halal ecosystem, we talk about ethical ecosystem. And now people don't talk about halal as a standalone. People always talk about it halal and tayyib, so there's much beyond that. And when we talk about halal, it's all about fair trade. It's about value chain. It's about the ethical ecosystem and how this halal as an ethical ecosystem, it ensures the ethical commerce and a clean. This is where the tayyib part comes in, trustworthy value chain for all. And when you talk about the potential of this Malaysia as a synergistic leadership for all this, and the global potential is no more, we're talking about billions, we're talking about trillions of USD. And how, if we possible for us to all work together, I'm talking about those people in the Islamic social finance sector, Islamic finance sector, halal sector, and how we can sit down together and how we can help complement each other. We are not in a competition. We are in complementary mode to help each other. Okay. So, if you look at some of the data and statistics, at least in this part of the world, right? Selangor is the biggest state. So you look at some of the key statistics. Malaysia have been ranked #1 in the Global Islamic Economic Indicator for 10 consecutive years. The halal industry contributed about 118.2 billion, which is about almost 8% of the GDP in Q3 2025. There are 1,525 registered exporters and 14 halal parks. And these shows the maturity of the infrastructure that we are having in Malaysia. And remember, halal is not about food alone. Halal it encompasses pharmaceutical, cosmetics, logistics, tourism, and so on. On the other hand, if you looked into the second pillar here, which is the zakat, and Selangor Zakat alone collects about 3.6 billion ringgit, that is a single state. So imagine the amount of potential that zakat has to help to complement around. And when you talk about corporate waqf impact, the National Waqf Blueprint in 2020, it had 100 million generated annually by the corporate models. And it has been benefiting more than 5,000 individuals in terms of health, small and medium enterprises, micro and nano enterprises, and so on. Okay, so if we look into the integration model, we can summarize it into the 4ER model. I would say we call it economic rescue, economic recovery, economic reinforcement, and economic resilience. And if we can follow this religiously, and it can come back to empower the whole halal ecosystem, not only the halal ecosystem, but the Muslim countries and the Muslims generally. When we talk about economic rescue, this is where the consumptive zakat for the basic needs, when we talk about the priorities of zakat for the food, the shelter, the healthcare, it gives you the direct impact at that to help those we call fragile and vulnerable. the asnafs who are at the bottom there, the poor. And the second part is the productive zakat, where this productive zakat is for the economic recovery. Productive zakat is like skills training, micro capital, and so on. So this is where I say the planning has to be done together with those people in power for the halal ecosystem, works together with the zakat authorities, designing, delivering, executing, training, and focusing micro capital to empower the halal ecosystem. And after all, these are monies that come from Muslims and intended to help the Muslims. So in a nutshell, it should be able to help the halal. So how it can be used. And for the reinforcement, the economic reinforcement, and this is where the bigger chunk of the capital that we're talking about is from, which can come from the Waqf. So Waqf funded business expansion and market access to enable more growth. And of course, finally, what we call after we build up this reinforcement is the economic resilience in order to have a sustainable growth for the whole halal system. And the key, and it has been proven many times, when we are doing an integrated model, the multiplier effect would be much higher. In fact, it normally demonstrates 12% faster welfare improvement towards this integration. And of course, when we talk about universally, when you want to talk about to other countries, the best metrics would be the sustainable development goals. So if we talk about how we, while integrating all this, we can work towards eliminating poverty, how we could provide the quality education, how we could make sure the decent workplace, as well as reduce inequalities. This is how we could measure the impact. And once we measure the impact, we can then report the impact, and we can even simulate what if there's an increase of a contribution from zakat or an injection from Waqf. So it will be much more transparent, and it will enhance the integrity of these Islamic social finance institutions as well. And then this is where we would move much more swifter. Yeah. So let us take some case study, a private case study from Malaysia, one of the well-known Waqf organization, the Johor Corporation's Corporate Waqf. They are the pioneering corporate Waqf in Malaysia. It was executed in the year 2006, where Jacob pioneered the concept. They endowed 200 million as Waqf assets. This is an endowment model, which is a Waqf model. So what are the key social initiatives? The key social initiatives are to serve the underprivileged via the hemodialysis centers, as well as affordable supermarkets. And the job creation from this, there were 650 plus jobs that were created through these Waqf funded projects. Like one of them was the hospitality of the Grand Putri Hotel. And this asset is managed by professional using corporate governance principles. And if you could see clearly, over 100 million annually generated for social initiatives, over 100 million annually generated for benefiting 5,000 individuals. Yeah. And how we can also jump on the bandwagon of the digital transformation in order to make the integration much more smoother, much more effective, and much more efficient. If this Islamic social finance, as well as the halal ecosystem, could integrate together by enabled by the digital transformation, it will increase the transparency and the efficiency. Things like we are talking about blockchain or AI frameworks, which definitely improve the effectiveness and efficiency, as well as the integrity and the transparency. The real-time beneficiary profiling, this will encourage more people to join on the bandwagon. More people would be encouraged to give their zakat. You see, currently what happens is people are reluctant because they could not see the results. Okay, they could not see the results. So if you can show to them how that money is being utilized, I'm pretty sure that it will encourage, and this will definitely reduce the transaction cost. And if you see that there is a huge demographic shift because of this digital transformation, where 30% of Waqf contributors are in fact under the age of 35. You know, I'm pretty sure most of us will know that Waqf is a very traditional instrument, and most of the time people will remember Waqf when their time is almost up. When they retire, they want to prepare for the hereafter, and they think that, you know, they need to do some good so that they can have a better hereafter. Then they will start thinking about donating land, donating wealth, and so on. But currently, this is what the demographic shift and that has been happening. There are more younger people, and it has definitely enhanced the institutional trust and credibility. Okay, and if you see the fintech for Zakat, the salary reduction increased by 50%. The Selangor Waqf platform, more than 20% online donation since the year 2020. As for the beneficiary, and this is from the contributors, for the beneficiary, the mobile apps such as the food bank stock and checks and digital vouchers definitely. And if you look at the Waqf Hasana, the blockchain for the grant disbursement have been used. Okay, so if you look from the other part of the world, we can see from Turkey, where the Waqf Directorate managed over USD 10 billion in assets. There are corporate Waqf linked to Sukuk financing, where this is where we call the blended part of the financing from the Islamic social finance, Waqf, as well as the capital market from Waqf, as well as the financing product from the bank. So it is high time now where we don't talk about working in silo, but we talk about how we can work together, complement each other. And you can see that 15 hospitals and 20 schools have been benefited from this. It has increased the rural education access. What are the key success factors for this? Definitely we need to have a supportive regulatory framework. We need to have a unified legal and tax structures. We need professional asset management so that, you know, we can enhance the transparency as well as the efficiency, the ability to adopt fintech and technology, as well as the multi-stakeholder collaboration. This is, again, we are talking about not working in silo, let us work together. So it is not only a single entity carrying the whole burden, where, for example, the Halal Development Corporation's sole responsibility. No, it's a responsibility of all working together. Okay, and you can see this cash Waqf integrated with Islamic microfinance. This microfinance have helped a lot of these micro entrepreneurs as well as nano entrepreneurs. Okay, especially in Indonesia, when we talk about micro and nano entrepreneurs, they actually the biggest chunk of the business community in Indonesia. So apart from Malaysia, we can see some success story from Turkey, some success story from Indonesia. So looking at the halal connection with the ethical value chains, and when we talk about the halal ecosystem as the platform that integrate for the empowerment of us now, you know, number one, of course, you will be able to provide market access. And we talk about market access, we're talking about global market access, whereby the Jakim certified access to 46 countries. Everybody knows well that Jakim's halal certification is one that is looked after, and it opens up the halal market of USD $7.7 trillion. And was for Zakat and Waqf social impact, it's high time for us to look at Waqf funded halal certification for these micro entrepreneurs, Zakat based working capital for micro as well as small as well as medium entrepreneurs, halal parks. Yes, we already have 14 halal parks, but much more halal parks can be built so that more people can get benefit from that. Okay. And if you look at the industry growth, especially on the Malaysian side, if you look at the halal industry master plan, 2030, the sector value is expected to be at 231 billion ringgit. And out of this, 70 billion ringgit is exports. It's not only that, it is also able to create new jobs beyond 700,000 plus new jobs. So when we say way forward, when we say for how do we move from here, what needs to be done, definitely we are talking about policy framework. We need to establish unified regulatory framework. This is not only within the country, yeah. It is within the country as well as beyond the country. I'm talking about we need established unified regulatory framework within Malaysia. That's number one. Then we need to look beyond that, ASEAN region. What's more, we are the chairman of ASEAN. Then beyond that, all OIC countries. This is where we need to work together and everybody prosper and everybody is empowered. Enable cross-instrument collaboration, blended between Zakat, Waqf, Sadaqah, or whatever you're talking about, banking, capital market, and so on. And we need to have a mandated standardized impact measurement so that everybody can speak the same language. Everybody can understand the measurement and so on. Number two, we need to have the institutional modernization. We need to accelerate digital adoption. It has been shown the more you embrace digital transformation, digital adoption, the better it is. We need to develop professional asset management capabilities. We need to have a interdisciplinary collaboration between economists, between finance, between market experts, and so on. And we need to have an integrated distribution platform for aid and investment. Three, we're talking about halal industry engagement. We need to establish ASNAF Entrepreneur Support Program, provide certification, waive the fee, which can be and be tackled by the money from Zakat, integrate the social finance beneficiary into the global supply chain. And finally, when we talk about global and future impact, leverage on global platforms such as World Zakat Waqf Forum or platforms like this conference, which is organized by the organizers. Inshallah, we should be able to accelerate much more. So with that, Madam Chairperson Yang Mulia Prof Raja, I end my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. MashaAllah. That was really beautiful, catchy. I must say a lot of insightful contents. Yeah, Prof. Thank you so much. So I must maybe have a very quick summary of what you have gathered today. Yeah, perhaps there is a connection to scale. You see Islamic social finance and maybe strengthen the halal ecosystem. So we must move on, right, from what we call as a fragmented initiatives into something like, you know, a system level delivery model. So a lot of things interesting that you have brought about. Maybe, okay, let us move on to panel discussion questions. Discussions, do conclude what we have been discussing today, and perhaps open to the floor for questions and answer. All right. So maybe on the first side, let us begin with Professor Baharom first, okay? Because you are the last, okay, the last to present, but maybe to recap, and I will follow through Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin and also Ms. Vildana. All right. Maybe one of the interesting area that I would seriously like to point out is about halal industry engagement itself. Yeah, how actually we can bring about inclusivity into real markets. So for instance, like, you see, it's interesting to learn about Johor Corp, right? And maybe some of the other perspective, like Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin mentioned about ASNAF Entrepreneur, yeah, the support programs to move beneficiaries into productive livelihoods. And even in some area, we offer certification fee waiver for micro SME to lower entry barriers. So in this perspective here, how can perhaps we bring about an ecosystem, halal ecosystem, sort of like a future-ready development engine? Yeah, maybe you see, we don't want them to go to the old school, believing that halal is meant for just like slaughtering or whatsoever. But we need to get it to be grounded in governance so that we can strengthen, maybe through digital modernization. We have industry integration, and we scale through global collaboration. So maybe, Prof. Baharom, you have a lot of exposure and experience. How can that impact be measured, multiplied, and sustained, perhaps?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Raja. First of all, that's a deep question. Currently, what do we have here is a bit fragmented. You have, we have to criticize for us to move forward, right? Currently, what we have Halal Development Corporation, and then we have all the other Islamic social finance organization under different body, and this HDC itself has been moving from one ministry to another ministry, all right? Although sometimes they do come together under JAKIM, but still their aspiration, their focus is not the same. They are not having the same dream. You see, while HDC's dream is about focusing on halal, sometimes they are a bit skewed towards the bigger conglomerates. So those who are getting benefit is just the big giant companies who is sometimes riding on the halal branding to maximize their profit. While the Zakat Islamic Social Finance Institution, they have a short term, just to help these people come out of poverty without it sustainable. So this is where I say, if, after all, both are coming under the same minister, which is the religious minister. So he needs to have an umbrella body which needs to look at it as the whole spectrum, looking at it together. Although you have halal industry master plan, I'm pretty sure, take this as a constructive criticism. In the halal industry master plan, they talk very almost minimal or almost in absentia talking about Islamic social finance and how we can complement each other. They look at it as halal financing is a separate thing. A halal trade is a separate thing. So this is where I say the multiplier effect when we talk about you need to have a concerted effort. How when you talk to a zakat authority, any lembaga zakat negeri, they should have a plan of their own how their initiative is going to help the halal industry. How their, for example, either the consumptive or the productive part is going to complement the zakat. For the halal. For example, when they talk about funding a asnaf entrepreneur, they should already be looking at it as a few phases. Okay, first you need to be maybe a nano entrepreneur, but I'm going to ensure that your human capacity will be increased. This is where we are also providing for you to learn, to train. As well, we are going to give you market access. So there needs to be a proper plan until the global access. And this is where one part of it, the Zakat Authority can help, or the Islamic Social Finance Institution help, and then the HDC looks at it and say, okay, once you cross number 2, we will come in and help you. So this is where we need to look at it. We are not criticizing just for the sake of criticizing, but we are just criticizing for the sake of empowering and moving together. Like I said, literacy is very important. We need to literate people, the business people, and we need to literate the zakat payers, zakat recipients, all we need to literate. And we need to say that, look, whatever return we get is a return that will be enjoyed by the whole, every stakeholders. It's not only the asnaf, which is, once imagine they are able to come out, they will be helping us. So inshallah, we will need to look at it as establishing an umbrella body, which needs to take a look at not only halal, but also Islamic social finance. No, I'm not telling that you need to do a coup d'etat or take over. No, no, no. We just need a platform for us to work together, inshallah. Prof?
Mashallah, thank you so much. Maybe this team, right? Our Islamic Economy Academy can work along. Professor, our brother Muhammad Noor, can take this initiative to move forward. Now, I want to fly from Kuala Lumpur to Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm kind of like very interested when you presented the case study on women economic empowerment just now, right? So I believe the central theme there is about how halal support inclusive economic development, particularly you see a group like women and small rural producers. So I like the historical case, of the brave women of Bosnia and Herzegovina, mashallah. So I think it has illustrated a profound social economic shift. So maybe you see, we want to connect that to the emergence of rural entrepreneurship in sector like agriculture, livestock farming. What else you have? Beekeeping and fishing, handicraft, right? So maybe on rural entrepreneurship itself, I believe women in Bosnia successfully transition into that activity. What are the primary barriers today preventing similar agricultural producer from upgrading into maybe registered SME, or they come up with their own formal SME, their own company?
Thank you very much, Professor Raya, and very good question, actually. Having in mind that Bosnia is in Europe, so we are not Islamic country. We have other obstacles to face in Europe. So mainly we started from the small steps, actually starting with establishing the certification body that helped through the Islamic community, as a part of the Islamic community, helped first with standardization, and later on started with registration of the small SMEs for the people, especially vulnerable groups, women actually in the area that were struck by the war. So actually all the initiatives started from the women themselves. They started small. Now with connections between the big companies, now they are becoming larger businesses, and it is easier when you have also governmental support from the Islamic community, and through all these connections, there is a synergy to help them to start bigger ones. As I mentioned, like this friend of mine, they started small from the small chicken hut from their own home. Now they have a big production. So they are suppliers now for the 2 or 3 main poultry producers in Bosnia. What is important also, so they will have a complete support from us, also from the Islamic community, from the government, so they can develop, to learn, to educate themselves. But they are still not, as Professor Baharom said, it is not under the one higher body, or it is not under the government. So this all support comes from the different sides. So maybe our effort can be synergized together to work on development of the small enterprises to become bigger stakeholders in all halal ecosystem.
Yeah, interesting. Now, just on a quick one, maybe I'll take this opportunity to bring about the cooperative model. You see, the cooperative model maybe can bring about the NGOs and cooperatives like Boss Farm. They can play their key role in empowering the Bosnian women. So how can the global Islamic economy better fund, maybe replicate these cooperative models in maybe other developing nations?
We must not be afraid to start small. So with God's help, inshallah, all the should I say, our good deeds are measured by our good intentions. So when we start with like the start to just find the word for our family, with good intention, we can rose to bigger one companies. So ladies in Bosnia have good resilience, had the strength, and had the will to start small, then to develop their companies. So maybe as a model that can be transferred to other countries is start small, have support at the beginning, and later on when you develop, you also develop yourself as a person, you also developed your business skills, you developed connections between different stakeholders. So it will open the doors to like the international tradings. Like for those companies, it takes time. Actually, we cannot start house from the roof. So we need to start it from the bottom and from the ground. So when you develop your own business and become strong, then you later on can think and increase your business, to increase your supply chain, to increase your buyers and everything. So even those companies now became international exporters, especially to the Middle East countries, because Bosnia is very small, very small market. So we tried to develop good connections through the platforms like this, and also with accreditation bodies. So the products from Bosnia are certified and accredited, so that we can open international markets.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, I pray that, your effort will come true, and perhaps, we have some connection after this. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So maybe
Thank
I
you very
want
much.
to, go to the presentation by Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin Hanani, which actually has explored the shifting the focus of halal to the ethical framework, and also perhaps by integrating the Islamic social finance, maybe the ecosystem can become a catalyst for social mobility. And not alone about that, but economic inclusion, which actually pair what Vildana and Professor Baharom mentioned, and that can lead to the sustainable development. Now, when we talk about this, perhaps maybe what do you think best can we relate to halalan and toiban framework? Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Yang Mulia, Prof. Suzana. So as we know that Halal initiative should not only benefit. I am very much interested with Prof. Baharom notes when he mentioned that Halal initiative should not only benefit the large corporation, right? Okay, so it's actually, it must extend beyond certification, and also we know that halal development policy should focus on empowering small producers. And as we know, the best practice, as my experience with some of the Zakat institution in several states, for example, the Teras Corporation in Selangor, how they help the Asnaf and also the B40 to with this halal initiative, for example, by giving them training. For example, within 2 years, we receive for about 200 Asnaf candidates, and we need to train them, okay, with halal trainings, and also we give them seed capital, okay, for them to start with their own halal business. And within 2 years, we given 2 years time okay, to bring them from asnaf community to become taxpayer. And alhamdulillah, about from 100 recipient, we managed to bring out 98 participants. So they no longer become asnaf by using this halal initiative. And as other best practice for halal initiative for this asnaf participant, for example, not only we give them training, and also we give them capital. Okay, there are other steps and business practice that can be followed, okay, to ensure their products not only halal compliant, but actually we become their tutor. Okay, for example, how to use halal certified raw materials, and most importantly, how to make an effort to find the halal initiative. It is not easy. It is not easy for this small entrepreneur to find halal products available with a cheaper price. And also to avoid a forbidden item is easy, but sometimes the shubha for those halal business is not easy for them to find the halal alternative. And especially for supplier verification, okay, to ensure supplies halal certified, okay, keep documentation for audit purposes. It's very difficult for them. They want to survive the business, and at the same time, they need to keep the document for audit purpose. Can you imagine that? Okay, so normally that's why people say and people claim this halal is actually for a big corporation. For small scale business, they cannot survive. But yet, alhamdulillah, there are so many initiatives that will help them, and not only for asnaf, for canteen owner, for example, okay, we help them to keep the document for audit purpose, and also and a simple thing to prevent cross contamination. And not so many company outside there, they want to take this task or this project, because it is not profit making project. So we need actually NGOs and also the government to interfere with this initiative to help the small segment of the halal industry. That's all, I think.
Yeah, mashallah. We have one integrated perspective. Maybe we can conclude that later. I would like to open the questions from the floor. Anyone wish to ask questions to three of our, distinguished speaker today? Can I hear any responses from the floor? Anyone? No? There you are. Professor Dr. Baharom, my question is from Ashraf Ahmad. What institutional delivery model would you recommend for a country aiming to scale halal-based empowerment for SME, women, and youth?
Okay.
Ashraf. Yeah, thank you.
I hope I get the question right. He was talking about institutional model. I'm not sure what he meant by institution.
Institutional delivery model.
Okay.
Maybe you
So I
actually
think,
you are framing it that good in your presentation just now. Maybe just to recap that. Yeah.
okay, maybe inshallah. So I think this is where I said we need a platform, a platform or a umbrella setup that can bring all this together and look at the aspirations and visions of each of the institutions, that they are intertwined between them. For example, like I said, you have the Zakat Authority, you have the Halal Development Corporation, you have MITI, and so on, right? But you need to have an umbrella body, maybe sitting under the religious minister or Jakim, that looking at it as a wholesome. You have Jauhar. I'm pretty sure those researchers, mostly from the Malaysian side, we know that when it comes to Islamic social finance, we are very territorial, where it is very state-centric. It comes under the ruler of the state. That is a fact. But nothing stops us from collaborating and joining together. So this is where I say, if we can have at least an umbrella body which provides a platform to bring together the Islamic social finance institutions, the Halal Development Corporations, as well as MITI, and look at their vision, mission, and their plan, and then how we can collaborate together so that we would have interdepartmental or interministerial or interinstitutional activities that can work together, inshallah. Thank you, bro.
Any more question to those who are attending? I have one here actually, which it's addressed to Miss Vildana. There's something somewhere in your slide you mentioned about integrity, right? Which integrity levels you believe that today the regulator industry prioritize first?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't hear.
Something to work on the integrity.
Yes.
Which maybe I just copy that on the chat box. Take a look. Which integrity levels should regulator and industry prioritize first?
First, to all industry actually that are under the halal, actually, in Bosnia, halal production is voluntary based. So first step is actually that are committed to produce the halal products. That means that are all under the how could I say, like the regulations and requests from the Sharia aspects that are covering the products should be halal and services, but also as a start. And at the beginning, we start with producing the halal products and services. Now, mashallah, we have expanded through halal cosmetic services, now finance and everything else. So the whole concept should be under the Sharia aspects of halal and tayyibin. That is the first level of integrity. So if we respect those rules, we already are part of our integrity. We already have a certain level of integrity as we are respecting those regulations and the rules. So we will also behave in accordance to this, not just to produce halal products or services, but also to expand to the halal ecosystem. As Professor Baharom and Professor Yasmin said, not just products, but we need to have halal finance, also payment for the workers at time, covering all the other aspects of the production, not just ingredients, should I say, or level of the services. So all this should be part of halal ecosystem. Support to the small producers, more support also to the bigger producers, because if you support the bigger one, they can support small producers as their buyers or suppliers.
Okay. There's another one coming from my WhatsApp, to Dr. Yasmin. There's something to work on halalan and toiban. In practical term, what changes when organization adopt toiban beyond certification?
Okay, thank you for the question. What changes, okay, that a company or a corporation or business can do beyond certification? It is actually, when we mention halal and tayyib, it must go beyond certification, okay, because how do you look after your staff or worker, for example? Although you get a halal certificate, okay, for your products and for your services, but for example, the customer, no, not your customer, not only your customer, your staff, okay, underpaid, okay, overworked. So it is not tayyib from the labor perspective. As capital, as Mrs. Vildana mentioned about the capital, the human capital, and also from the staff. So that's why from the certification, if you want to go to audit, first we will look into the facility. okay, for the staff. That's about the facility. And how about the wages? Okay, and how about that from the workers' part? And apart from that, okay, the sources. Where did you get the source for income? Or for example, for example the cocoa or the foods is actually from the sustainable a source. Although it is halal, yes, it is halal. Okay, you slaughtered it. Okay, the fish, but the issue of sustainability. Okay, that is when the halal, it is not only about certification, it is not only about the ruling, whether it is slaughtered or not, whether it doesn't contain pork or not, but beyond that, the sustainability, okay, our responsibility as a industry or as the company to protect the environment, to protect our workers, to satisfy the customer, and to put the trust, okay, in the system.
Yeah, inshallah. Okay, there's two more questions for you, Dr. Yasmin, and next
Wow, two.
for Baharom, yeah. How can zakat and waqf be integrated into halal value chain without creating dependency? And also, what is the stronger poverty reduction mechanism within the halal ecosystem? Maybe take a time to take a look into the question.
So I will take the first question, or Prof. Baharom
Yeah.
first. I will take the halal
Yeah,
supply
both
chain.
of you can, anyone can offer a solution to the
Okay.
question.
I think Prof. Baharom is the best person to answer about the wakaf. Okay, and I'll answer the halal change. How integrating zakat into the halal supply chain is actually a smart way. Okay, to align business operation with Islamic social responsibility. First of all, we can do it is using the structured approach. First, we need to understand the connection. Halal chain ensure products are Shariah compliant from sourcing to consumption, from farm to fork. Okay. Meanwhile, zakat is an obligation to help the needy. Integrating zakat means that the halal business does not just avoid the haram, but actively contributes to the welfare of the community. Okay, whether they pay zakat, whether they involve in, for example, sedekah. Yeah, we know that sometimes they struggle. Okay, when they struggle, okay, to do for example, in this, okay, during this time of war, for example, they struggle to pay zakat. How they want to contribute to the society. And as I mentioned just now, points of integration in the halal chain. So we need to partner, okay, with suppliers who pay zakat on their business profit. For example, me, I have my halal business. If I want to make a JV, for example, I will find my partner who pays zakat on their. So I will search in their business profit, and this will encourage ethical trade and transparency in supply chain finances, inshallah. And finally, for profit management, we need to keep clear records of profits and inventory eligible for zakat. Okay, for example, not only 2.5, we can pay more. Okay, for nisab sufficient wealth. Okay, include inventory value in zakat calculation. If, for example, the trading goods are part of your business. I think that's only from me. Okay,
Yeah.
I pass to Prof. Baharom.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Yasmin. So first, I'll answer the second question first. And so it was asking what is the best financing blend to help SMEs move from informal to export ready. Okay, being in informal is basically in shadow economy. It's not illegal, it's just informal. So when you talk about informal, in fact, we have already started that Bank Pembangunan issued sukuk, and out of the sukuk proceed, they provided microfinance to the entrepreneurs. So that is a blended financing. When you talk about blended financing, is when you blend two different forms, either capital market and banking, social finance and banking. This is what we call blended financing. What would be the extra advantage? Of course, the cost of capital will be lower. Once the cost of capital is lower, then the interest rate or the financing or the profit rate that's being charged would be lower. That means they would enjoy. Number two, if you see, there are a lot of banks which have already started blended financing of Zakat and banking finance. So, for example, if the financing is normally targeted to micro or nano entrepreneurs, whereby, for example, they need 7,000 for the business. So the bank gives them 10,000. 3,000 comes from the Zakat fund. 7,000 comes from the bank, and only this 7,000 is charged for any interest rate. Why? Because it has been proven time and time again, a lot of micro or nano entrepreneurs, the moment they get this financing, they use for consumptive purposes. And once they use for consumptive purposes, they do not have enough money to expand their business or to work on their business. So the bank says, what? We will give you on the consumptive, which comes from the Zakat fund. This one you use purely from the point of view of the business. Okay, number two, how can Zakat and Waqf be integrated into halal value chain? Again, this is where I say Waqf, when we talk about Waqf, when people can Waqf land that can be used as halal park. Or for example, in Kedah, we have something called Smart Sawah, where the lands are Waqf land, but it is divided into sublands for us now to become paddy planters, right? To be entrepreneurs in their own self. So this is where we can say there is always we can always work around it by collaborating. So we have to look at it in a bigger context here. Like I said, nobody is taking away the limelight or the job from somebody. It is about we helping each other. I know. Being in this Asian cultural, we are always worried when somebody comes into our territory and we say they are stealing our job. There goes our power. No. We have to think, we work together in order to empower. Again, like I said, we need to sit down, all of us, researchers, consultants, advisors, academicians, needs to sit down together, come up with a master plan and how all this can help. And please come up with a measurement so that you can measure. Most of the time, we come up with a great blueprint, but then, you do not know whether it's successful or not. And by the time you realize, it's too late. Why we do not have a proper measurement? We have showed just now, SDG measurement is there, Maqasid measurement is there. So let us measure, report, and then take action. Measure, report, and take action slowly, inshallah.
If I may, Prof, do you think we don't have that nature of a measurement at this juncture? No?
We do have, but like I said,
Don't have
again,
an
it is
integrated one, right?
not have integrated one. No, we do not have integrated one.
Let's plan for a long-term research grant project.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
look at interdisciplinary, take in Islamic social finance,
And
Islamic finance.
AI,
Yeah,
AI possibility. Yeah. I
inshallah.
want to connect what you mentioned about the sawah, Waqf, to what I think Vildana's in Bosnia Herzegovina can work along together. I think they have a lot of parcel of land. Yeah, I don't know, because you mentioned about your farming and whatnot, right? Do you have that model, Vildana, in your country?
Sorry. For some parts, as I understand your question good, in some parts of Bosnia, we have some land that is under the Waqf directorate. So that part of the land is leased to the small entrepreneurs to start their farming, and also some of them is used like for the production of the cranberries, blueberries in the north part of the Bosnia. Also, now they are as I'm aware of, engaging in using those land to start with solar power plants in the area where the land is not that much fertile. So they are using as for the solar planets. So they are starting some of the initiative to lease the land to the people who want to start their own businesses And in those ways, both sides benefit. It benefits the people who start business, but also benefits as it usage of the Waqf property. And the Islamic community also has some income as they started to develop their own businesses.
I see. So meaning to say at this juncture, fully Waqf model is not yet being utilized. Yeah, like what we
It
what
is
our
it
is?
is mainly under the Directorate of the Islamic Community. Because we have very strong organized Islamic community in Bosnia and Herzegovina, so they are managing it quite good actually for Waqf property. But also now at the last years they started to work with people to get more engaged of the Waqf properties.
Okay.
For the agricultural production and other things. Among them are like the solar plants.
Yeah. There's another question to Prof. Baharom. If resources are limited, which should be prioritized first? Certification subsidies, skills training, or market access?
It depends on the sector, because one sector is not same as the other sector. When you talk about food and beverage, it's different from cosmetic, it's different from fashion, it's different from logistics. Some sectors are already matured that you do not need a certification. For example, they are already matured and maybe they need a market access. Some sectors in Malaysia might be too infant and they need skills training, and then they need certification, and then only we move to market access. So this is not one size fits all. We have to look at the sectoral. Like I said, for example, when you talk about food and beverage, we are one of the front runners. But when you talk about cosmetic, we are lagging somewhere there, right? When you talk about hospitality or tourism, we are again. So this is where we need to look at it. I think it has to be a sectoral base. And again, this is a very good idea, a very good question, which can be turned into a problem statement. That means there needs to be a study itself to identify which sector is matured, which sector is in infancy, which sector needs what kind of help. That itself is one contribution to the whole integration platform.
Interesting. MashaAllah. And to the three of you, maybe I'll take this as the last question. Three of the panels, maybe you can give a perspective like this question from Khalif Haikal. Yeah, how is microcredit to SME halal, such as in Bangladesh, where small entrepreneur pay them regularly? How does that appear to be halal? How is microcredit to SME halal?
For me, microcredit or microfinancing, this is again, it can be in the form of Qardul Hasan. It can be in the form of a subsidized profit rate. And this is actually when we were talking to some of the banks, you see, in any countries, you have a certain group of people, we call them high net worth. In some banks, they are even ultra high net worth. So these people have so much money in the bank, which is sitting idle, right? So what can be done? We can use this digital transformation, digital adoption, fintech and everything, asking them, do you want your money, part of the money be used as financing Qardul Hasan, and at the same time, they can also claim that as part of their Zakat, this is where matchmaking, you see, some of our banking, whatever banking to you or click or whatever it is more on a very rigid services. It does not provide a much more intelligent matchmaking type, asking this ultra high net worth, do you want to explore where you can pay the zakat for your savings? Do you want to explore where you can work up some of it? Do you want to explore where you can use some of it? So this is the type of thing we need to look forward to. So if this can be helped, so you already have this ultra high net worth. I've worked with some of the banks. I know it's huge amount of money which is just sitting idle, which can be used to put across as a assistance to those who are in need. So, it's like the people helping the people from, it's like the clients working, helping the clients. So the banks become the facilitator here. From the traditional bank, where bank is the intermediary between surplus and deficit unit, banks now also play a role as a matchmaker. They don't be the intermediary as an intermediary, but more providing. So we have to look at what's more now. You have AI and everything. So the ultra high net worth, they can have the credit rating or whatever what they want to do. Inshallah, we should be thinking out of the box.
Mashallah. That was beautiful response, yeah. So perhaps we can have a very quick summary of what we have discussed today. Yeah, maybe one integrated perspective is all about, to me, I believe, yeah, what I can compile is about values, which can actually goes to the trust system and also a scalable delivery. So today, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, the three speakers form a complete framework, I must say, because we start with the purpose, we start with the why. Yeah, halal as a halalan toiban to uphold justice and also reduce poverty. And number two, we build the system perhaps on answering how. Yeah, because the halal ecosystem as trustworthy infrastructure, maybe in this VUCA world, about governance, integrity, and capacity building, and also scale the impact, where we try to expose with what we can do. So we integrate Zakat and Waqf with halal value chains, supported by digital platforms, supported by professional asset management, also measurable outcomes. So in conclusion, today, I believe, you see, we have able to demonstrate that inclusive halal ecosystem can be a powerful model of coordinated impact. Though it is not exactly integrated as it is today, perhaps one of these days we can bring about all ethical purposes that help to drive our action. Yeah, and then it can become a practical pathway to our communities, empowered women and youth, and also sustainable rural development. And before we end our session today, perhaps on a very quick one, we have about close to three. Just now, actually, we have almost 200 participants on a very quick one. Can we have a quick shot of maybe what do you call? Wow, before we do that, there's a there's a statement, I think, a quote from Fuad Imran. Yeah, what he say there. I think it could be interesting to focus on the experience of Waqf in Lebanon, Morocco, Syria. Yeah, inshallah, we shall bring that. We still have another day. Yeah, inshallah, will be addressing such. Can we maybe take a very quick snapshot of our participants? If everyone can turn on your camera, just on a quick one to capture our moment. To the rest of our audience, yeah, we also have a lot from YouTube. Yeah, we have more than 200 participants today, the audience who are listening. Can we, students, are you there? On the count of 3, everybody is like maybe tired or fasting. You can't even lift your finger to turn on your camera. Sufian, Adib, Nur Aisha, Sophia, Priya. Okay, it's all right. I'm just gonna take a quick snapshot of each of the pages just to capture your presence. Okay. And don't forget, we still have our session tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow about the future casting and global alignment. We're going to talk about global collaborations and the future of halal. Yeah, perhaps to also consolidate all the insights into our shared priorities, and we're going to move pathway to whatever best that we can work along, you see, to bring about this framework materialize. So thank you very much for having us with you, and have a good day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Assalamu warahmatullah. Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah,
and
welcome.
everybody.
Thank you, Prof. Baharom, Associate Professor Dr. Yasmin, Ms. Vildana. I hope to
Thank you.
connect. Yeah, thank you very much.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for taking time to listen to three of us, four of us. And we are open for any cooperation. So please welcome to Bosnia.
Yeah, inshallah.
see you
Connect it.
soon.
I would love to.
See you
Inshallah.
soon then.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Okay, have a good
Assalamualaikum.
day. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.